Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to two videos. One of them is how to teach Vedanta to youngsters. So I'm kind of curious as how they would teach people Vedanta, especially to youngsters. Um, and because it's something that I'd be curious about, because generally if you can explain it, it'd be one way of explaining things. Obviously there's different ways to explain things differently with different groups of people. Especially if people don't understand Eastern or Western philosophy, or those who only have Western philosophy but not Eastern, or Eastern but no Western. You have to kind of tailor it so that they can better understand it and better relate to it. And I thought this would be interesting to learn. There's another video, I can't remember what it's called, but we'll get to it after this.
See, in fact, when somebody gets ill, you know what will happen? The ambulance will come and ask the person, do you know what's the time? What's the date? And if the person is really gone, he won't know. Or they'll say, where are you? He won't know.
Or they'll ask his name.
Or they'll ask his name. He can't identify himself. This is the signal. That means what's happened to the individual is he no longer is able to relate to space, time, and causality. He's got completely switched off all these three. But in reality, the way we encounter reality is in fact in a way embedded in space, time, and causation. Thus, Desh Kada Nimit. This is how the universe unfolds. So we are stuck with time. And the reason why time is important, or keeping time or punctuality is important, is as follows. It shows that you've got the discipline on yourself. You see, whenever I find somebody who says, I'll come at 4 and then return at 6, I said, this guy is not disciplined. He's not able to understand the concept of time, how to regulate his own particular activity to be there on time. So this shows a sloppy individual. And a sloppy individual just who is not careful about time will also be sloppy in every other field as well. So the clearest, litmus test is to see if a person is punctual. If he's punctual, then he's already disciplined himself. He's able to relate to how he should spend his time, or what time should he spend for what activity. And that's a good sign of a very disciplined individual. And remember, discipline is one of the most important things in the process of yoga. The first particular aspect of yoga, first anga of yoga is yama, discipline.
Oh. Okay, that was actually, I mean, I knew it was brief, but good lord, what used to be pretty good length now really, really short for me. So discipline. Well, yes, but still, I don't know. I think Vedanta is definitely going to be very difficult to teach to youngsters. Again, depending on culture as well, plays a major part. If Vedanta is a very strong part of culture, it's not going to be necessarily that hard. Kids are going to be kids, but it's also what the surrounding environment, the culture around it will be. If it's very much a strong part of the culture, it's going to be a little bit easier to teach your kids this. Again, a little bit easier. I'm not saying it's easy. Of course, kids and teenagers. Kids will be kids, teenagers will be teenagers. But when you look in like Western society, when self-reflection and self-discipline is not taught, it's just, I swear, I think parenting is becoming worse. And there's a couple of metrics that kind of points in that general direction. I hate the fact that I'm not saying it's true, but it's my thinking, and obviously the kids grow up with the influence of the parents, or the lack thereof, actually, too. And without guidance, kids don't know what direction in life they're gonna go, and they'll just go in whatever direction comes to them first. So it's kind of like there's a lot of you could say certain neighborhoods in America where there's gang-related stuff, and if the parents aren't there to discipline or keep their kids straight, they will become gang members, just because that is the culture in those areas. And that's kind of the sad factor of kids. They're extremely malleable, obviously, in terms of their thoughts and direction they want to go in. They want to look up to someone. I think so, because I mean, like superheroes, whether it be a fictional character or a real person. And if the only thing they see in their lives are these evil people that are doing bad in the world and they don't see no positive influence, there's a great chance they'll become similar to that just because that's their environment. Their, in some sense, you could say their culture. Especially if you look in a lot of underdeveloped nations, it's kind of the I'd say for the most part for those are just it's mandatory. It's the only way to survive, and that sucks for children. You'll like I remember seeing pictures of kids with why am I going so far into this? But anyways, I do remember seeing kids with like AKs and stuff, not because they want to, but it's just they have to do that to survive. It's really crazy, and I don't know. I went really far with that one. That was really strange, but yeah. Vedanta, man, if there's someone to teach that to a lot of youngsters, at least get them started in it, and if they take it seriously, which can be very difficult, I think will be a great help in the world for sure. Obviously, you know, we have to conquer the basic things in life first, which is survival, and that being food, water, and shelter. Once those have been taken care of, then obviously we can look into self-reflection, looking inwards, because without food, shelter, or water, you know, finding inner peace is not exactly top priority, because you're gonna die from one of those, the lack of one of those three. Anyways, let me know what you, if you disagree with me, that's fine. Let me know in the comments so I'll read it and probably change my mind, or I'll say, oh, well, you're right, we're both right in that one. I don't know. Anything happens, whatever. Anyways, let me pause right here so I can get the other video. Alright, in the second video, who created spiritual humanism? Swami Vivekananda? That'd be pretty cool. I do, because I generally do kind of agree. I don't know if it's 100% yet of spiritual humanism. I wouldn't call it spiritual. I just want to call it humanism, because much like Richard Dawkins, I believe it was, and Lakhani trying to convince him, but you know, he has an issue with spiritual, and I do too. It's because I guess I did grow up quite a long time in the Western world, and it's been, and actually even my own country, it's been heavily influenced by the Western world, at least the religion part. But spiritual or spirit is has a very heavy definition, and I don't want it to be confused with that. So I guess in terms of the Western world, maybe spiritual is not a great definition, but I know a lot of people says in the comment that's about the best translation for it. So I'm not going to say don't call it spiritual humanism. It's just that, you know, whenever you say it, please do, especially when you speak to, like, I guess at least the Western audience or anyone in the Western world, do remember what spiritual or spirit can mean to them. And that's something that we should also remember to take account of whenever we go to other countries. There could be very well different definitions or meanings to different words, and obviously most people don't know that, and you can't blame them for that. So I don't blame Lakhani for saying, oh, it's spiritual humanism, he means spirit from the Abrahamic religions. No, it's just being a caution out there. Not like you're gonna get punished for it or anything. It's just, you know, it could be misinterpreted more than anything. So let's go ahead and get started. It's only 1 minute and 30 seconds long. And no CC, by the way.
Spiritual humanism.
Real quick, I thought he created it.
Seeing and serving God in man and women. This is what we are saying. What you are searching for is here. It's all lighting you all up. So when I go to primary schools and they say, you know, like meet a lot of little children, say, Mr. Lakhani, which God do you worship? Because we got so many choice. We got choice of so many. Which one do you worship? I said, no, the God I worship. The God I love. And the child said, yes, yes. I said, the one who is looking at me through those eyes now. And go, hee. Caught you. To see my God, not in a temple, not in an image, is Hinduism. To see God in human beings and interacting with the living God, called spiritual humanism. This is the best way of defining modern Hinduism.
Oh, good Lord. Okay, that was a lot quicker. Oh my gosh, 30. That was about 1 minute. Okay, so again, that's the thing. I'm atheistic, so it's not to say. I guess agnostic atheistic, because there's been no proof of God. Can there be a God? Maybe, I don't know. What would it take? Well, if there was one, they would know what it takes for me to be convinced. But anyways, I like to. A lot of the things he says is just worded differently, but I don't necessarily disagree. It's more along the lines of believe in humanity, and humanity's being all of us. And his way of saying it is there's God in all of us. So in a sense, they're the exact same thing, but just one saying God and one saying humans. There's no difference between the two, though. It's just the wording, I suppose. And the only reason why I'm very cautious of the wording of that is because, um, again, misinterpretation. I don't want people to start saying, well, if I'm God, then I can do anything. But then you also have this place, well, everyone's God, you know. Or like they justify their actions because there's a deity that says so or whatever. That's extremism, of course. And that's the thing I do worry about. And a majority of people are not that way, which I'm grateful for. And again, I don't have any issues with anyone practicing the religion. I mean, if that's something I've said even before I started watching his videos, that, you know, so long as you do your own thing and it keeps you sane, that's fine. Please do continue that. But now I'm more along the lines like, you know what, if there's something that you enjoy, that you love, and it makes you happy, then by all means do it. But the same saying I've had since back then and now is that as long as you don't push it at anyone, if you start pushing it on people or start saying it's the right religion that everyone must follow, that's a problem. But other than that, if people say, hey, your religion looks interesting, do you mind if I learn? And I would say, please, teach them if you can, if you want. I think that's great. I'm not going to sit there and say, no, don't. Although, again, I don't necessarily believe there's one right religion or one right way of life, one right philosophy. Everyone's a little bit different. Everyone sees things differently. So there's no one right way. Except for one. There is one right way. I'm sorry. I don't know if I can even say that. But anyway, seeking the truth. I don't know if that's even... I mean, obviously that should be right. Seeking the truth should be the one right way. But the path to get there is all different. I think of it like climbing the mountain, like the examples they gave. There are many different paths to a mountaintop, but all of them lead one way. All the path leads up top, but different paths. Path to happiness. What's that path? Many paths. Yeah, well, maybe there is one path. Well, one idea, I don't know how to describe it, but you get what I'm saying. There is the thing that we must strive for, but many different paths to get there. Let me know how you'd phrase it down in the comments below. Is that because it's not one path? That's not the right word. There's one goal with many different paths? Yes, there we go, maybe. Anyways, let me know. Anyways, that's my reaction to Who Created Spiritual Humanism and How to Teach Vedanta to youngsters, which was a little too short because youngsters nowadays are way too distracted. Yes, way too. Actually, everyone's way too distracted. It's not even just youngsters anymore. It's freaking everyone. At least where I live, or in probably Western society, and I'm sure very much many developed areas. Actually, just say developed areas. Because even in Western society, it's not necessarily all areas are developed. There are very people who like to live way away from the big countries and stuff, and have the beautiful plains and beautiful skies and all that, mountains too, animals, the wilderness. Anyways, if you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.